I've been enjoying the student encampments because in most cases, like here in Georgia and Atlanta at Emory University, they just sent the Georgia State Patrol in. That's that video of the really stout cop picking the femboy up and just
that's
like
beautiful,
deadlifting him and walking away as he's like, he can't believe he just got picked up.
The only clip I've seen like that I really got a true laugh out of at those protests was like all those like drunk frat guys, and then like some fat pig of a woman comes up and like is trying to engage them in like a discussion about, not really a discussion where she gets to scold someone for as long as she pleases, which is her idea of a discussion, I'm sure. And like immediately like and you can hear in his voice, he's like, 9 Coors Bankies deep, and he's just she's like, you guys are fascists, and he's like, lose some weight, you fucking pig, you fat pig. And
is that the one where the guy was allegedly making ape sounds?
No, that was a different one.
That may have been a different one. He was. I mean, that's a safe allegation.
Like
it reminded me of that scene from Black Panther.
There's and then there's like, oh, look at me.
It was both
genre.
He really went at it. And he seemed to have some hatred in his eyes, if I do say so myself. But she was a big fat cow who was stepping to them saying some crazy shit too. She was saying like death to America probably or something about Palestine. So yeah. I don't know. What, you get her feelings hurt?
Yeah, I can't get on board with the
That's what
sounds.
He was going
He really
for.
should have went with bovine sounds, right? He should have mooed at her.
Oh, if you moo at her, you can't be mad at that. Yeah.
Right?
That's the think they wouldn't be mad at that? They're mad about everything, dude.
The fatties aren't as well protected as.
But
that's
like,
kind of
they're very well protected.
When you're projecting a sound
from my
something with like it's got more than moo. Like moo is kind of soothing.
Yeah.
You need like a ha ha ha.
You're right. It's hard to go with herbivore attack lines.
You're
Still,
right. He made the right move. Yeah.
I went to that thing. I went to the Columbia one dressed as a liberal, and I talked to some of them. And I used to do this character, Miles McInnes, my twin brother, who's a liberal. And but Miles has the courage of his convictions, and he'll argue with you. And I realized my fake character is too cool for these people. They won't say their opinions. They direct you over to someone who is media trained.
Yep.
And the guy who's media trained was talking on I don't know, YouTube or TikTok or something about how all Zionists need to die. And then all racists need to die. And you're like, that's a lot of people that especially your definition of racist is like someone who voted for Trump.
It's
so
every white person.
Kill half the country, and you're media trained. I went up to these two guys. They were guarding one of the gates that went into the encampment. And I was like, can I talk to you guys? And they're like, we have someone who's trained in media. And they go, yeah, you're an adult male at college. You're trained in media. This is just saying what you think. And they go, they just kept repeating the same thing like a robot. And they each had their own individual umbrella because it was kind of misting that day. Not raining, but like.
They were ready for it.
Wait,
and I look at them.
You want them to you say it like it's gay, but it's more gay to share an umbrella.
I mean, all right. So hear me out here.
It's gay to use an umbrella. You wear an umbrella in Glasgow, you're a dead man.
You can't riot with an umbrella. Like, are you here to do business or not? You know,
sometimes Antifa will get the big black ones to stop you recording. This was the one your aunt has in her purse. Like it folded out to about this big, and it's probably like this when it's all folded up. And I go, guys, I broke character. I was like, guys, it's not raining, you. And they both like go, oh, and they undo their umbrella.
they undid their umbrella when you call them out.
Yeah,
damn, they need to have the courage of their convictions. It wasn't
raining at all. You know what there was? There was tons of ugly Asian girls, like uncool Asian girls, the kind that you don't even like beat off to.
The flat-faced ones.
Yeah, the badly dressed ones, you know.
I hate that.
Not even good at math.
I realized that these girls they're like good drivers. They're not real Asian.
I think you're just a fat Mexican in disguise.
Maybe you're just a white girl with black hair that's really stoned.
Yeah.
But
just a sleepy white girl.
Yeah, you just Are you Asian or did you just wake up? Actually, some journalist was over at my house recently, and he was from Germany, and he my kids look Asian because they're Native American, and he said to my son, he's like, "Hello, how are you doing, little boy?" And he goes, "Fine," and he goes, "Did you just wake up?" He's like, I'm like, you're being racist, right? He was a lefty there to do a hit piece too. But anyway, I saw these Asian chicks and I realized this is just fashion.
2 of the worst security guards you can imagine that they drafted from the student body will be standing by some refuse they've stacked together and like not allowing entry to anyone, any students, any media, any just person. And it's it's a public university. There's no inch of that place you shouldn't be able to walk around on, regardless of who you are.
Yeah.
And then again, they're like, "What do you think about all of the Israeli women who were raped, for example? Do you think those sex crimes matter?" And they're like, "You want to talk to Dave over there? He's the media guy. Talk to Dave." And it's like, I want to talk to you. I'm talking to the people who are out here with masks, holding, chaining everything up and super gluing locks and shit and locking everything down. No, you want to talk to Dave. He talks for us.
You know why? They know they're going to be humiliated. They know you're going to say something like, "What's the population of Palestine? What's the population of Israel? Do you know where they treat gays in Gaza?" And they're going to have nothing. And they don't want to. And this has been going on for a while. Remember, they used to have debates with right and left. You had Richard Spencer on ESPN. You had David Duke on CNN. They used to talk to the right. But now they're so bad at knowing stuff. I think the term is stupid. That they say, "Don't give Nazis a platform."
The kids in general are at a disadvantage.
And everyone's
I've been listening and I'm like, all these kids don't know anything. Whatever political beliefs they have, they've had for 6 months. They're 19 years old.
They don't know from the river to the sea. They have no idea. That's going to be
true of the right as well. Like 19-year-olds just don't have the depth of background typically to argue their point.
Conservative 19-year-olds know a fuck ton more than liberal 19-year-olds.
I can't prove it either way, but
here's why he's right. It's fashionable. One of them is fashionable, and when the other's not. You must have some convictions if you're going to choose right at 19, right?
I used to fuss at the right wing guys who go to college campuses and debate with children, and it's like you're dunking on a Fisher Price hoop here.
It is low hanging fruit, yeah.
Well, that's the only thing that Ben Shapiro can dunk on.
That's sort of the core.
I see it. It took me a second. I was like, no, he's really smart
because he's a Jew.
It's like in Star Wars where they flew into that thing. Okay, I'm missing your jokes. When they flew into the Death Star, like this is where all these bad ideas, bad laws, incompetent judges. This is where they begin. So you might as well nip it in the bud. Get down there. But you're right. It's not very challenging. The shit they say is fucking retarded. But have you seen these streeters where they go questions like, can you name the seasons? And my favorite one ever was, what does YES spell? And the woman says, Wes.
What?
I think because Wise is like a what?
Wow.
Yeah. Wes. That stuff has to be cultivated. I see the left do it at Trump rallies where they find people with indefensible positions, usually dressed up in their
QAnon weirdos. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they get dunked on. But there's going to be dumb people.
Yeah.
But here's why 19, like you just said it. They have to have the courage of their convictions if you're going to be young and conservative. But this is especially true of like conservative blacks. Ann Coulter once said, "Our blacks are better than their blacks." And they accused her of saying that we own blacks. But if you're a black dude and you love Trump, you're arguing through Thanksgiving. You're arguing at work. Nightmare with your cousins. Every barbecue, you're getting raked over the coals.
Every haircut.
Or you're closeted, God forbid, hiding that every day, afraid you'll be exposed, afraid someone's going to see your MAGA hat under your bed.
Well, I like in a lot of places, especially like New York and shit, being conservative is like being gay in the 50s, where you just sort of look over at a guy and you're like, I was at my wife's family reunion, and there was they're all lefties, Midwestern, Madison, Wisconsin types. And this was she's half Indian, half white. So this is the white side. And I was talking to her cousin, and we were told not to talk about politics because my mother-in-law is very, very, she's a liberal activist. And so we're avoiding it. And then I heard him say, yeah, I mean, you could tax these companies more, but, you get less of something when you tax it. So maybe there'd be less business. And I was like, and then I sort of sauntered over to him like a homo. I was like, yeah, I mean, the concept of taxing makes sense. We need roads and stuff, but it is innately corrupt and bureaucratic. And then we had a couple more gay clues. And then I was like, I'm going to go pick up more beer. You want to come? And he's like, and then we get in the car and it's just like, Trump, holy fuck, he's kicking ass. Like this when he was president. The economy's booming. We're screaming at each other the whole drive.
Into my country, tis of thee.
Yeah. And then we get back to the party and like, just like gays who had fucked in an alleyway, we both split ways. And like, I go put the beer in the fridge and we sort of have our backs to each other because we're not allowed to think these things.
You fade back into the background. Yeah, actually, I think there should be more trans kids. Yeah, I don't think there's enough.
I'm trans.
Every single one. You guys were talking about like the people on those protests not knowing what they're talking about, and it reminded me of this, I'll call it theory that Dick Masterson was talking about a long time ago, where he's like, if you're ever in like a serious like political discussion with like a woman, because he's big on the woman stuff, he's like, ask them what year the most common wars in history started, and you will immediately realize their level of understanding of the world. So he'll be like, ask him when did like what years? Give me the gist. Like when was World War I? Like kind of like, and he said to try this with the women in your life, and I did with a couple, and they didn't know. Like they'd be like, I don't know, like 1895 something.
No, yeah, I could do ballparks. 1911, 1918. Like you can be close. Yeah, I think he stole that from me.
Oh.
My thing was, I said that exact thing verbatim, but I said, ask them the population of America. And you will not get. I asked one lesbian I was arguing with about illegal immigration. I said, you're not going to believe me, by the way, so get ready. I said, how many illegals do you think are in this country? Now, the left usually says 12, although it's been 12 with fucking Biden. And the right, if you're really like right, you say 30. That's the range. 12 to 30 seems to be the range. She said 70 billion.
With a B.
70 billion.
It's a big number.
Billion.
Oh, damn.
And my dad's a mathematician, and I said, Dad, work out for me how many people could possibly fit in America shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
He spent like 20 hours on it. He was like, can I freeze leaks? I'm like, okay.
See, now that's a smart guy.
And then he calls me the next day. He's like, I've got a problem here with sky rises, because you could keep, if it was nonstop skyscrapers, but now you need farmland for food. So you're importing the food. And now if it's just skyscraper to skyscraper, coast to coast on frozen lakes and mountains, I could easily get 80 billion in there.
It goes subterranean if we have to.
So technically that woman,
I never even thought of that.
Maybe she's right. Yeah. 70 billion. That's a baffling answer.
I can't
be with someone that's that stupid.
Yeah. I've never got the answer remotely close on any of those stuff. And then I just go, well, now you're being disingenuous. I don't care that you don't know how many illegals there are, but you brought up this discussion of immigration, and it's like me arguing with you about ballet. So why are you wasting my fucking time if you don't know who Nureyev is?
Yeah. Why even have the discussion if there's no inroad to have a productive discussion?
And I'm not learning anything. I'm getting dumber. I want to lose an argument. Like I'd
love my mind changed occasionally. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah,
like, I'm not
intelligence.
I'm not against having my mind changed. I love when it happens. Like, I won't have that stupid opinion anymore because you set me straight. Thank you. I was going through life with my fucking left blinker on this whole time. Everybody but you's laughing. You pointed it out, taught me to turn that bitch off. Now I'm smarter.
Yes.
It seems like the other people sometimes their world or reality would crumble should one piece of this mosaic of nonsense that they base their existence upon be crumbled or tarnished by facts, reality, or common sense. If any of those things happen, then it's a domino effect. It all comes raining down. And who am I really?
Yeah.
Kindergarten is woke, grade school is woke, college woke. So you tell a 25-year-old that gays are murdered in Palestine, and the whole like not just last year's me is garbage. My whole existence has been garbage since I was in kindergarten, and no one wants to take that on. That's terrible.
Well, they can't reconcile it because in their head, everything is divided into an oppressor and oppressed paradigm, and their like core belief is like, no matter what, white people bad. No matter what, like that white people must be bad. And so then if you're like, well, actually, these non-white people are doing some fucked up shit too.
Yeah,
like
some underdogs are dicks. Sorry.
Yeah.
But there's been studies that have shown that the more when people are confronted with data that contradicts their beliefs, they become more steadfast in those beliefs. Like doomsday cults, when that day happens and the world doesn't end, they don't lose members. They gain members.
That's shocking.
And you go,
I mean, imagine if there were imagine if there were heavily funded organizations that said the world was ending for decades at a time, and they kept getting more adherents. That'd be wild. Imagine if they had like a track record of not.
I don't have that kind of imagination. I can't imagine such a thing.
We can't work with hypotheticals around here. I can't imagine.
I can't even fathom. Imagine if they said New York would be underwater in 1972.
They taught us that in kindergarten. I remember there was this thing about they were using pennies stacked on end as like a way of showing how much the oceans would rise. I was 5 and so scared because I had seen Land Before Time when all the dinosaurs get smoked. I thought that was coming for us too. They had us terrified.
Oh yeah,
they had us 38 years ago. Got 33 years ago. Like it. Have they raised it all? Like
the oceans?
I always go back to my thing that like beachfront property would be getting cheaper if that
would be uninsurable.
Right?
It's bought by people with no future,
like former presidents. Yeah,
right. They're 73
Dude, I remember
old, wealthy.
Like my first true terror as a young child was like watching a Fox News or CNN segment with my parents about how the world was imminently ending because when Africanized bees arrived, they were going to kill all the normal bees and there would be no food. And I still remember this graphic of them showing this horrifying red wave migrating from Africa and then showing it hit the East Coast and growing out. And I'm like, am I going to become an adult? Am I going to survive till the end game of life? Because with these Africanized bees, there's no telling. And then that ended up, I don't think that's a fear at all anymore.